just to walk you through it, because I know I've sent this to you, but
Yes.
to explain to you how I do it is, so I'll typically talk through these points, and you just read it as is. The exposure and risk are increasing and weighing heavily on organizations to keep their intellectual property and corporate documents safe and secure. Data leaks are increasing, and companies are being held accountable to keep the data and personal information of their customers and staff safe. And then regulators are enforcing new laws, and the companies need to be compliant. So you've got GDPR, which is European. You've got POPIA, which is Protection of Personal Information Act, South Africa. And CCPA 2020 is basically, it's California Protection Act, which is effectively POPIA and GDPR for the US, which came in January 2020, just so that you're aware of what CCPA is. There's very little in the way of technology solutions that solve this problem seamlessly that we're solving over here. So don't be a victim. Nedbank's third-party data breach impacts 1.7 million customers in South Africa. That's February 20th this year.
Now.
That's exactly it. This one, you'll see all of these articles. SBA loan program for COVID relief suffers data breach, April 23rd, 2020. That's during lockdown. Marriott data breach, 2020, 5.2 million. Guest records, April 13th, 2020, during lockdown. All of these.
I know my reps. So these guys are featuring on these articles. You've contacted them, right?
No, these are news articles that I just pulled off the internet just by doing a quick
but like I'm saying, the people that resell for me, they'll go and get a hold of Marriott now. They'll get a hold of SABA loan program now.
Oh, no, what, to go and sell them the solution?
Correct.
Go for it. So Nedbank I'm busy talking to, so don't worry over there.
Okay.
But yeah. Okay, the top cost of data breaches according to industry accountants, so reputational cost affecting future client relationships, cost of customers moving away from a company, cost of hiring expertise to mitigate further threats, and then the PR cost to lessen the blow. This is a little bit of a repetition over here, but also bearing in mind you've got your financial losses, ruined business reputation, regulatory fines, your falling share price that damages your business, disclosure of trade secrets, compromise of customers' data, or even employee data. I mean, it's so easy to just phone the receptionist and say, "Hi, my name is Mark. I'm phoning from IT. Please, can you, I'm battling with my email at the moment. Please, can you just send me the employee staff list? We need to send out a comms to the rest of the business." Now, you phone a company with 6,000 staff. I can almost guarantee you that there's someone in that company called Mark.
Yes.
And I can almost guarantee you that the security does not, the receptionist does not know who all the IT people are.
Yes.
What's the chances of me getting that list? I'd go pretty high.
Yeah.
So that's social engineering, but at the very least, if the receptionist does send that list out, you'd have an order chain of it and you'll know that it's happened.
Yes. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Does the software feature a way to recall it?
Well, Outlook does.
Outlook does, you're right. Okay.
So, we're not replicating Outlook functionality, otherwise what would be the point? For me, this is more I'll get to that. Let me get through that.
Let me let you finish. Yeah.
So, privacy features, just going that, strong password encryption, audit logs, reduces company exposure, no user training required. As you can see, the add-in is installed, the user carries on, and they do nothing different to what they do to their normal day-to-day work.
As you said,
they don't require any training. Yeah, as the system is installed, they attach and carry on. You don't have to call 2,000 people into separate training sessions and explain to them how to use the system.
Okay.
Install the add-on, it works, it protects. That's what it does. So it protects email attachments automatically, and then it's a white labeled email response. So that's what I showed you. Where this thing stemmed from me, for me, why I decided to build this whole solution out is I've held various positions. I've been the CIO. I'm currently CIO of company. I've been the chief data officer. I've been the chief technology officer. When you're responsible for the IT and the data of a company, you start becoming very paranoid about who is sending what information where.
Yes.
Because if Susan, the receptionist, sends out a staff list or something and it gets flagged as a data breach, all fingers get pointed at you.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay.
So, and at the very least, in court, you need to be able to stand there and say, I have done and put in the measures in place to protect us as best as what we can. And I need to be able to show that I've done something.
Okay.
At the very least, that would save me my
Mm.
job, and it would save my company face on reputation and. So for me, it needs to be seamless. It doesn't, the level of education in our country isn't very high, so we need to make things easy for people to work with.
Yes.
So for me, this is an easy, simple solution. It protects your business. It makes sure that no data that leaves your organization via email is compromised.
Yes.
All of your attachments are protected, and you've got an audit chain to see who is sending what information where.
Yeah.
I had an incident in one of the companies where I was the CTO, where the head of business development employed a productivity method called Inbox Zero.
Okay.
Now, what that means is some people like to create little to-do lists. Some people like to create folders in Outlook, and then when you finish dealing with stuff, you move the stuff into your folders. This person had been working for the company for about 10 years,
Yes.
and every single time she finished dealing with something, she would delete the email.
Okay.
So I finished working with this, I've closed it off, she'll delete the email.
And the whole
So-
email chain.
The whole email chain, all of it's gone, because that is inbox zero. She's cleaned out her inbox. At the end of the day, she has got no more emails in her inbox.
Okay.
Now what happens is after 10 years she resigns, or she leaves, or she goes to another country, she goes to another job. Now, because she's head of business development, first thing that the directors and everyone wants to know is, please can you restore her inbox, because we need to see who she was in contact with.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you can't, because you don't know who she's been in contact with, because she's deleted all of her emails.
Oh
And
gosh.
she's cleaned out her deleted folders.
Okay.
At least with the audit chain that we write, we don't, to protect the individuals, we don't store the actual content of the email, but you can still see who
She sent
Email was
attachments
sent
to. Yeah.
to and what attachments went to those individuals. And you'll be able to sort of build up some kind of audit chain from that.
Like at the very least, you could theoretically sort it to find quotes sent over the last 2 years.
Correct. Another thing that you've got going is from like restoring people's inboxes and things. If you suspect someone from like doing something they shouldn't be doing in your business,
Yes.
how do you go and quickly see at a glance who are they sending information to without having to go through the full IT rigmarole and saying, oh, please can you go and reset this user's password? Please can you go and restore their inbox on my machine so that I can see? At least with Pryvicy, you've got an option where you can go into operations, you can search for the user, and then
Okay.
you'd be able to see who they sent what emails to. Are they blind copying stuff
Okay.
to other people outside the
So
organization?
you can find the
You
email
can see the
addresses, the
very-
attachments, the date, all of that stuff for
Correct.
the
All of
entire
it's there.
history.
Who
Theoretically,
did
the
it
whole
go
10
to?
years.
Who was the CC? What was the subject? What were the attachments? The tenant key, that's the license key per organization.
Okay.
I'm super user admin, right? So just so that you know, that's why I can see everything.
Okay.
But yeah, like all of this stuff is safe and secure. As an administrator of your own organization, or each client would get their own username and password that they log in.
Those
and I'll
tenant
only
keys,
see
sorry to
stuff.
interrupt you, are those transferable? Let's say you've got Edwin as tenant, that tenant at the top there. I resign. Now you want to just give somebody else my license key as opposed to paying for another user and cancelling my license key. Can you just edit
Yeah,
the details
yeah.
of
So
that
this-
user?
So that you know, this tenant key basically works like one tenant per client. So if a client is FNB gets one license key that they can use that license key and install 100,000 times.
Okay, but every time they install, they are taking the cost of one more user.
Yeah, so we just count the users in the from. So each from would be a new license.
Okay.
So that's the number of employees. So you could have 20 employees all using the same license key for the organization, because it's an organizational key. Otherwise, we have to issue, like for a bank, you'll issue like 20,000 license keys. It's
Yeah,
not
that's
really
a
a nice
schlep.
solution.
No, that's
Well, for a company like a bank, you go, here's one license key. So we thought, let's keep it simple, give one license key, and then we'd be able to actually see and use this as is. So
the
I
one
can count
customer
that.
or the one rep that's really keen, his close friend and business partner actually does own a bank cross-border. So he's
Okay,
very
cool.
interested in this. That point actually will be very interesting to him.
100%. And then, like clients that don't pay, we can give them a bit of a grace period.
Yeah.
But effectively, you've seen me use the system. If they don't pay and I click on this little disable button, you see companies disabled.
Uh-huh.
If I go new and I go, just going to send myself another email, test disabled. I'm going to now attach this document again. When I hit send, immediately your license is inactive. Please contact your administrator.
Oh, so it can't even send.
No, it'll send, but it won't protect it.
Oh, okay.
So you don't see a password and you just see it clear.
Well, at least it'll remind you that you've got an inactive license.
Correct. If they pay again, I click the little enable button. I go new, send it again, and I say password, blah, blah, blah. Actually, password. Let's just send that. Attach again, hit send, and you see it archives it, protects it. There's the password.
Okay.
So this thing is live, it is responsive, it is active, and it works offline. So if a person jumps on an aeroplane and they start sending emails and it sits in the outbox, the system will automatically generate passwords, protect the attachments and everything, because it does store a configuration file on the machine to know what it needs to do. And every time someone sends, it just checks that config file to know, does it need to do something?
Brilliant.
Okay, so this thing is active. It works offline as well. The responsiveness you can see is immediate. We've got the operation with the order chain and the logging. So yeah, that in a nutshell is how the system works. From